the pre-Olympic year. The pressure people are under, the stress. We saw the Germans lose the World Championship gold medal when the same thing happened to them.
Right, so back up to the start now for the B final of the lightweight men's double sculls. Huge elation there from the French crowd. They'll just be very pleased to have seen their French compatriots go through in the previous race. But here we have in lane 1, Panagiotis Magdanis and Eleftherios Konsolas of Greece. Gold medalists in the lightweight men's quad last year. Switzerland in 2, Daniel Wiedeke and Michael Schmidt. Michael Schmidt was a bronze medalist in the lightweight men's singles at Worlds last year. USA in lane 3, Andrew Campbell Jr. and Joshua Konecki. Poland in 4, Artur Mikolajewski and Milos Jankowski. They were bronze medalists in this event at the Bled World Cup earlier this year. Ireland in 5, Paul O'Donovan and Gary O'Donovan. 5th at European Championships earlier this year. And then completing the field over in lane 6, Paul and Bernard Sieber. They were 4th at Bled earlier this year, so just narrowly missing out on a medal. And now in this B final, again, all desperate not to be last so that they can therefore qualify their boats. It's the first 11 in this category qualify, this being the B final, contending for places 7 through 12. They're called forward to attention. We're moments from getting underway with this B final for the lightweight men's double sculls. There we have it, green light on, the buzzer goes and they shoot off the blocks. Slightly slower start there in the USA boat, the others quick off the mark, so they've got some ground to make up, and it's never great to be last off the start, particularly when you don't want to be last in this race altogether. They were quick in their semi-final, USA though, 6:18.76. They were the fastest out of all the boats in this B final in their previous round.
And you could see a bit of desperation from the other crews as they took off from the line there. The US recovering from that rather slow start. They're drawn back up to level now, and all 6 boats are locked together as they come through into the second 500 meters.
I thought they had the fastest rating on the water there, and then I saw the Austrians on the left of this screen up at 45.46. They really held that high rate of striking from their start for a lot longer than the other crews. Meant they got a slightly faster boat speed for a bit longer, but it hasn't really made much of an impact on their position on the field. We see the USA really getting back into this now, getting back out in front after being 3 to 4 feet down after the first stroke.
Well, this race is going to be so important, isn't it? Because it's going to be much closer, I think, than the men's pairs race. I don't think the 6th place crew is going to be sort of known until the last 500 metres. So I think the Scott Root coach crew from the USA, Andrew Campbell in the bow from Connecticut, and Josh Kazinkny from Ohio in the stroke seat. He's on the right of your picture of the leading double. They've made a really good start. On this near side, it's the Austrians, the Siebers, with number 6 on their boat, that have been very, very competitive early on.
And a very patient start from the US that's popped them out into the lead as they come into the second quarter of this race. Hot on their heels are the Swiss, but I'd expect to see a good performance from the Polish. They very narrowly missed out to South Africa. South Africa going into the A final, last year's world champions, who we'll see in a few races' time. But the Poles were very unlucky to just miss out and place 4th in their semi to be in the middle of this B final.
Look at the Americans here though, starting to really stamp their authority on this race in the bow seat, right on the left-hand, furthest left-hand edge of this screen with the white hat on. You can see Andrew Campbell Jr. So he was under 23 world champion in 2013 and 14. He's not under 23 anymore, and he steps up to this elite level with real caliber and real pedigree behind him. And he's making his authority known in this B final here. As we said earlier, to come back from being so far behind after the first 2 strokes, and they're really getting themselves out in front now.
Yeah, look, I don't think it was so much of a case of having to come back from behind. I think that they just had a really measured start. Everyone just looked desperate and scrappy coming off the blocks. As we know, you don't want to come last, and so everyone looked a bit nervous and just jumping out of the blocks, which isn't necessarily the most efficient way to start. We know by looking at crews like Kimmy Crow in the single, the Kiwi men's pair, they're very patient in those first few strokes, and they wind up their boat speed rather than just hitting it from the first few strokes. So I thought the Americans had a very measured, clean start, building up into their boat speed, which was a bit more sustainable than some of the other crews.
So through the 1,000 there, America leading. Austria in second place. Poland currently in third, so that means Ireland are dropping back on the right-hand side of this screen, but not by much. There's only a few feet in it between them and the Swiss and Greeks on the top end of the screen.
Americans are sculling really nicely. I think they've done a great job really with their motivation. Of course, the US team been suffering in the men's team anyway from missing out on finals, the men's 4 and the men's 8, and this spoke to the lightweight men's doubles. They can look back on this race for the moment, but the crews are closing. USA still have got the quickest boat speed, and I think they're taking plenty of time to get connection at the front end. They look very fluid, but nobody really wants to risk going into the last quarter with the Irish still in the pack.
And we just saw a big move from the Austrians there. They bumped their stroke rate up to 40 strokes a minute, up from about 36. So they can see the bow of the Irish moving closer towards them, and they want to try and get themselves out of this fight. It looks like the Greeks starting to drop back off the pace, which is starting to get very hot now as the Irish get themselves back into this race and trying to get desperately out of that 6th place.
It's interesting to see so much looking across at each other. We've not seen as much of that through the previous rounds, and they're really desperate to know where they stand. And Greece and Ireland are 5 lanes apart, and they've only got 2 feet in it. Currently 2 feet, and we see the Irish are now just pipping Greece into that 5th place.
Yeah, so that's number 1. Really, that's the race we're looking at for the last place, because that's where Olympic qualification counts, and it's neck and neck between Ireland and Greece. And those 2 men from Greece, well, they were world champions in lightweight men quadruple sculls just a year ago. Okay, it's a non-Olympic event, but they were at the top of the field with gold medals around their neck. They haven't had the best season, and now it's that lane on the far side, lane 1, racing the Irish not to be last, lane 5.
Look at that, something's happened here, because Greece have really started to pull ahead. They haven't lifted the rating much, it's just 1 pip. They've gone up to 36, and they are starting to get a foot or 2 on the Irish.
Yeah, for me it looks like it might be the Austrians who are going to start to suffer here. They're up on 42 strokes a minute. They haven't got anywhere to go. The Irish, they're still down on 36. So if the Irish can get themselves up, get a couple more points of rate, then they could really find themselves back in the hunt for this race.
250 metres to go, and I think you called it there, Sarah. This is Austria who are most at risk here, because Greece and Ireland still have another gear to go, I would hazard, that they may be able to throw down in the last 200 metres and reel in those Austrians.
Yeah, the Siebers are very experienced. I think they might just hold off the crews behind, but it is tightening up as we look at the Poles there just coming through the Americans, but the Americans have done their job. They're out in front. Their qualification place is safe. As we see the charge coming, the Austrians still up high, and it's the Greeks and the Irish. I think the Irish have got the Greeks just at the moment.
This is so tight. Last 20 metres now, and it is Poland going to win this B final, but not by much, ahead of America. And then we've got Austria and Switzerland tied across the line there. Looks like Ireland might have just beaten Greece across the line for that last Olympic qualification place in this B final. We'll have to wait for the official results to come through to confirm that. It looked like it was about a foot, and we'll be sure in a moment. But winners there, Poland managing to row through America. Great performance by them, coming back from 3rd in the first 1,000 to 2nd in the 3rd quarter, and then to win this B final in a time of 6:20.25. United States missing out by 0.3 of a second. Yes! We have it in now. Ireland place in 5th, so they take that last Olympic qualification slot. Greece narrowly missing out here today.
So that was exciting. I mean, I think our focus is generally to the right of the picture, to the last place, because of the importance of Olympic qualification and the intensity of competition here. We see on the left of the picture, you've got the Poles just rowing through the Americans, and what a great job that they've done. But the Americans safe in qualifying, the Austrians safe,
Arthur Mikolajewski
safe, yeah.
Bouncy, that Polish boat, didn't want to take it 1 stroke more than he had to as he crossed the line there. Stopped immediately, put a lot into that last 100 metres.
Well, the Poles have got a great tradition, haven't they, in lightweight men's double sculls. Olympic titles in 2004 and 2000 and 2004.
And they were just unlucky really to miss out on the A final. A tough ask to try and beat the world champions, but boy were they close. Hands up there from the stroke man from Poland. Job done.
Yeah, and it's a good news for the Irish rowing programme. I mean, they've been slowly building their programme up under Morten Espersen, and you can see confirmation there 0.2 of a second is all the difference.